working, man.
I know what my audience like. I did some independent films with Master P. A lot of those movies did really well.
I'm ambitious, I'm a hustler. I have my own lane.
That's the thing about comedy. You wake up every day, you don't know if you're funny that day.
Hey. Yeah. Hey, listen, it's a Monday. Some people look forward to Mondays and other people, you never know. They just take them straight to the face. You know what I'm saying? But we got another one now. Lord willing, we made it. You understand me? We made it. Welcome back to the program. Good to see y'all. Fresh off the weekend. You were in that number that made it to this week. All right? All right, first timers, come on in, sit down, don't touch nothing. Figure out as you go along how it goes. This is Let's Go Live. Welcome into the program. Let's Go Live with Lamont King. I am Lamont King, and so let's go live. We are live, so let's go. Monday and Wednesday, 8 o'clock. Friday, 6 p.m. East Coast time. Shout out to everybody watching on the West Coast right now. I see you. And worldwide. Something like a podcast. Something like a podcast. SLAP is the acronym. And trending topics, hilarious commentary, celebrity guests, and interesting people. Yes. And today we're going to have all of that. Shout out to everybody in the Peanut Gallery on the YouTube, on the Peanut Gallery. No individual shout outs unless you brought somebody new. But I see you. Also known as the nigga section. I gotta stop saying that. It was cool for like 6 months, but hey, sooner or later, the cancel people, they're coming for me too. So, but good to see y'all. Good to see y'all. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Who knows what was happening, but that's it. Who knows? Estisha, I see you. And do I get royalties every time I play that song? No, I just like it. Here's a little story. If anybody's into music, send me some music. I'll use it. We're gonna do a little write up, a little waiver. But I found that particular beat. Which beat, you ask? So there was a time when I was in radio and people used to send me music all the time, right? And if they send it to you unsolicited, so I checked my email, it was like from 2009. So there's a guy who makes beats. Who knows where he is today? He could be a big time producer, but he sent me, he was like, hey, check this out. Can I get your feedback? It was like 18 beats. That was my favorite one. So I'm using it. There's that. All right, let's get to it. We're a little late, so I'm going to just go straight to the guest, man. We got some topics. We got some interesting stuff that I know you probably missed today, but we're going to get to it. You know what I mean? Some headlines you might be familiar with, and some I had to go digging for. We still want to get it popping. First of all, we're broadcasting live from the newly remodeled Drunken Fruit Studios inside the Tiny Closet Command Center.
I don't care if it is a closet. You still looking mad efficient.
And make sure you visit our longest running sponsor, drunkenfruit.com, and at Drunken Fruit. Spell it right. They got some specials going on. All right, here's the number. In case at any point in time you want to jump in on the conversation, this is a live show. Jump in on the conversation, 765-538-7461. That's 765-LetsGo1. We're going to be talking about a few things today, man. It's a Monday. You never know what you're going to get. You never know. But right now, and also we'll be speaking with our executive producer down the hall in Studio G, who just had a major milestone accomplishment this afternoon, actually. We'll be checking in with him, Mr. Clarkson. He's Mr. Clarkson until otherwise noted. And shout out to our New York Bureau Chief, John Watson, on remote. All right, let's get to it. I guess today, man, we're just going to shoot the gift a little bit, man. Go back and forth with it. A homie from way back, very active in the D.C. community at one point in time. And then one day, and just picked up and moved. Started a whole new life. And always wanted to catch up and then find out what happened. She turned into something like an activist. Doing a lot of major things down in Tennessee. So without further ado, we'll bring her in. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go live with Tami Sawyer. Good to see you. Oh, we can't hear you. Your G's.
Hey, what's going on?
There we go. I ain't even had time to put your name on. How you feeling?
I'm good. I'm laughing because your version of events is always, you act like I just ghosted DC. I had like 5 going away parties.
Well, I only went to one, but you didn't. It wasn't a thing where you just said I'm over it and I'm leaving.
Yeah, but it took me like a year to move.
There's still no. I don't remember the year part. Hold on, let me put your name up here. I don't remember the year part. But how are you though? You're looking well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah,
doing good.
Yeah. So reason why I wanted to have you on because you're always in the mix and well versed in so many things. But when I met you, you were bit of party promoting, kind of.
Yeah.
And then and then now you're like in Congress and shit. Like what? You there's a gap in there. I need a little bit of explanation. There's a gap. I said, look. So look, y'all. This is real. This the homie though. Last time I seen her, she was like more bottles over here. It's my man. Because we bring some bottles over here. And then the next time I seen her, she's on the flyer like this with the Capitol building behind her, like Tami Sawyer for you. I was like, damn, okay. Tell us a little bit about your journey, man. How you ended up in DC and how you ended up out of DC.
So I'm from Memphis, left to go to law school in DC, went to Howard Law, shout out to the hustle, and hated it. Like law school was not for me, but I loved DC, as you know. And so I was working at the Navy Yard, but most of the time I was either hosting a party, working somebody's door, passing out Ciroc at clubs, making cupcakes for the clubs, anything in the clubs I was doing. And 2013, I think I turned like 31. And I was like, yo, this is like Neverland. DC felt like Neverland. I mean, you remember those times.
Yeah.
It's wild. Like you go to work, get off at 5, get home by 3 a.m. maybe,
Yeah.
And I just wanted to figure out what I wanted to do in my life. And that was the year Trayvon Martin got killed. And I remember that hitting me pretty hard. Like I'd kind of been in this bubble, we were in DC for like the Obama years and it felt good and it felt right. And then you're like, it's not right. It's not good. It's a lot of talent in the city that's, drinking and sleeping its way through what could be revolutionary, powerful times for our generation.
Say that one more time. That's heavy. Never looked at it like that. Say that again.
You want me to repeat that? Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talent in DC that was drinking and sleeping their way through what could be revolutionary times for our generation.
Shoo! That's a t-shirt. You got to get that on a t-shirt because that's real. Especially around that time, too. Yeah, the 2010s?
Yeah.
You are correct.
And so I decided to go home. And you remember the Navy Yard shooting happened that year? That blew me because it was the building I'd worked in for like 7 years. And the guy was a contractor. Some of the people who got shot were friends of ours. And it was just like, I was like, what is this world? To me, the most drama or most significant thing happening in my life was like the new Ciroc flavor gonna be watermelon, and damn, it's amaretto. What's Diddy thinking?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
so I had to just, and so I came home, and when I came home, I didn't know what I was coming home for. I was still flying back to DC every month. It was really watching Ferguson happen and feeling pulled in there. Like, I remember, like, can I pack a bag and go there for a weekend? And so then I said, let me just start at home. And so started planning protests here to coincide with what was going on around the country. Then started really realizing like what was happening in Memphis. One of the Memphis is the largest majority city, maybe second, one or two, somewhere with Atlanta. We're 67% Black.
Okay.
But we have the largest racial wealth gap in the country. The average Memphian who's white has access to about $90,000 worth of wealth, and I can explain wealth in a second. The average Black person has access to about $20,000. So we're talking access to wealth in an emergency, not can you pawn something, but like, can you get your hands on some cash in 24 hours to get your ass out of an emergency?
Right.
And we don't have that. And even that $20,000 is still like, your car gets totaled, you don't have access to anything. So we're talking about a $70,000 racial wealth gap in one of the largest Black majority cities in the country. And so these statistics, these numbers, even though I was a party girl, I was still a nerd at heart. Like I said, I went there to go to law school. So like data drives me, I'll be sitting there listening to somebody give a report. And when I first got home, I was sitting in the back of rooms. Nobody knew who I was. And I'm like, y'all don't hear these numbers. And I got tired of people, saying like, you report to me or you're nobody. And I was like, so I'm gonna be somebody. So I kept, organizing, and then eventually ran for office, lost, ran again, won, ran again, lost. But I ran for mayor while I was a commissioner.
Let's slow down. Let's slow down. You went home and ran for mayor. That's major. Because, now in this political climate, the whole conversation, it's a new conversation where everybody's, you just got to start local. We need to buy in the block, and we need to, run for these local positions. And you were really like ahead of the curve on that, because you were part of a demographic that 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago really wasn't doing that.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's so interesting because there are people who are now running or now elected in Memphis who, when I first started running for office, were like, oh, she just needs to wait her turn. Now everybody wants to be like, we got this, it's our time. I was like a year early. I was one of the first millennials to run, and that was in 2018. No, I won it in 2016 was the first time I ran for office. I ran for state representative. And I wanted to run for state rep because the representative in my district was a 70, 80-year-old Black man who was got caught on a hot mic saying the reason we got problems with Black kids in Memphis is because they mamas is hoes and they daddies are absent. Some stuff like that. And if they just pull up their pants.
He with it. Oh, okay.
Like Bill Cosby pound cake on us. And he was anti reproductive rights. We wouldn't need abortion if these girls would keep their legs closed. There's no like modern way to talk about the issues. And so I ran against them, and nobody really knew me. I was considered this bougie, privileged girl who had lived in DC and had no connection to the city anymore. And we bust our ass. I'm talking to you, so I assume I can keep cussing. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay, this ain't rolling. I don't be. But so there were 3 of us on my campaign then, and we raised $20,000. Fast forward years later, I'm one of the highest fundraisers in the city. But that first race, thank you. I'm gonna just pat myself on the back. But $20,000, 3 people on my campaign team, including myself. We knocked almost the whole district, and we only lost by like 600 votes. And so that was the beginning of my like political power, where they had to not just be like, oh, these loudmouth activists, you know, people love to say, well, do something about it, you know? And so I did.
Yeah. Now, so to that point, so activism has a new look.
Yeah.
What do you think about the latest about Shaun King and the fact that and he's not the first one. It's just
No.
this week's news because before it was Tamika Mallory and everybody's clocking how much money they making and
Yeah.
where they living.
Patrice Colors, yeah.
So the latest is Shaun King. For those that don't know, it was put out today, out of nowhere, that he's living in a 5-bedroom big house in New Jersey that costs $875 after he had publicly asked for donations for his wife to help her alleviate the stress of raising homeschooling kids during the pandemic. So that's the narrative.
Right.
Now, I don't know how much of that is true or accurate, but what do you think about today's level of activists and the type of money that they bring in for their personal benefit?
It's
like a necessary evil, kind
of. It's a necessary evil. Let me tell you, it's not easy, especially if you're like the face of something. So I've been the face of activism here in Memphis. That's included death threats. That's included, you know, going viral because a white man's yelling at me singing Dixie in front of a Confederate statue. I mean, I've gotten emails where they've like, we know your entire family's addresses and we're coming for you. I've not been able to work. I've been sequestered in my home. You know, there comes the trauma and the mental health issues. I hit the highest weight I'd ever been in my life. Like I had to like reclaim my life. You know what I mean? And also was looking at piles of bills because I was like unhappy, unhealthy, and not making money. So if CNN had come to me and said, we'll pay you $100,000, you know, to commentate, am I a sellout? Or am I trying to live? And, you know, when Dr. King died, the Alphas had to take care of Coretta. You know, Sidney Poitier and Harry Belafonte had to pay for the funeral. It shouldn't have been like that. For all they sacrificed.
Right.
And it's not saying that you should be able to go in activism and become a millionaire.
Right.
But I think that we also, because of the way social media moves, people think that, you know, no matter what you have to say about Tamika or Shaun or any of these other people, that's not what I'm here to get into.
Right.
They still have given vast amounts of human capital.
Right.
That people don't pay for.
And I saw Willie D from the Ghetto Boys. I follow his accounts, and he you know he made some real poignant statements today. He was saying how, you know, Malcolm X died, you know, pretty much broke and penniless.
Right.
And like in today's climate, like how do you expect these people to live? Now I'm only speaking. He was only responding to Shaun King because I know there's some other layers with Tamika Mallory. And there's some real grievances with Tamir Rice's mom, and you know she's a Cadillac rep and all of that. That's not even on the table. But Shaun King, his point was, how do you expect him to live? Like, where would you like him to live? And what would you like him to do with his money? Like we're good for that.
Yeah.
We're good for telling people how they supposed to be, what they supposed to do with their money, where they supposed to be at. And if it was me, I wouldn't do that. But it ain't you though.
I remember walking into my parents' house. Another reason I moved home. My parents are, you know, getting older, and I walked into my mom and dad's house, and my mom's like, "Your car company been calling here." I was like, "Oh, okay." You know, and she says, "How are you all on TV, you know, in Ebony and just like listed all of these things? You tweet all day and you're supposed to be famous, but you can't pay your car note on time."
From moms like, too, from moms. So disrespectful.
You know, and I was like, well, because of all those things, right. I don't, you know, it's hard to get hired. No, Memphis, as I said, Black majority, economically, the majority is white. So imagine me trying to get a job that I'm qualified for.
Oof.
Right. Like when I left DC, I was about to hit $80,000 at the Navy Yard. My first job here, they offered me 40.
Oh, okay.
And that's not cost of living.
Right.
The cost of living is not 50%, you know? And so, you know, it took me 4 years to work my way back up to where I should have been when I came home. And that was still behind because I wasn't where I would be if I stayed in Navy Yard for 4 years.
Right. I remember driving cross country and I went through Tennessee and it was like, you got, you know, Tennessee, and I was taking my time too. They was like, you know, it's 3 major cities, Knoxville, Nashville, Memphis. And you run into them 2 hours apiece and blah, blah, blah. And it was like, Knoxville, you got to, you know, do X, Y, Z. Nashville, you got to do this, that. Memphis, just don't stop. I was like, for real?
Who told you that? Somebody white.
Probably. This was years ago. But being in that environment and you know, it's an uphill battle with everything. What keeps you motivated?
Well, right now I think what keeps me motivated is I have a game plan. I just announced today I'm not running for re-election. Doesn't mean I'm getting out of politics, but I'm getting out of elected office for now. Working on infrastructure. You know, I keep seeing people like these last few days arguing with AOC. And I think they really agree with her, but they're not seeing the policy work. They're not seeing the numbers and the data. When freshman senators and congresswomen and men who are Republicans get hired or get elected, someone like drops a book on their desk and is like, these are your bills for 2019. These are your bills for 2020. This is what we're doing in Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina. And they'd be like, filed. We come in, we'd be like, defund the police. And they'd be like, so tell me more about how you're going to do that, Tami. And I'd be like, I mean.
Yeah.
You can't like.
I just think it should happen. You know what I'm saying? I don't really know yet. We didn't get that far.
Defund, right? And I'm one of those people. Like I'd be like pissed. I'd be yelling all the buzzwords. And then one day I realized like, I'm getting my ass handed to me on what's actually getting passed. When I could like list what I actually could get passed, I can make the paper every day. I say that very humbly. I can make news, right? I can get the conversation going. Can I get a resolution passed? Can I get an ordinance passed? Can I get lasting change made? And so I said I could run another 4 years, win the seat. You know, I won with 81% of the vote. I have no problem winning this seat again. I believe that. And I could sit here for another 4 years, get disenchanted, even further disenchanted, be even less effective, become one of those politicians who's just excited because I get a free flight to CBC every year.
Yeah.
You know, or I could figure out what the whole is and us actually moving the needle, right? It's not just about getting Democrats and progressives elected. It's what do we do when we're in office? Right. Cori Bush is having to be an activist and an elected right now. She's fucking sleeping on the steps of the Capitol because they refuse to do anything with the eviction moratorium. And people are saying to her, well, put a bill in, Cori, but half of her team, I mean, not her team, but half of Congress went home for the weekend. You know what I mean? So she can't even get Congress seated so that she can pass the resolution and help the eviction moratorium get reinstated. And Nancy Pelosi and the vice president and the president have all these buzzwords about we need Congress to do this. We need White House to do this. If they wanted to do it, they would do it.
Yeah.
Once we get elected, we shouldn't still have to be activists. She shouldn't have to sleep on the floor.
No, that's now it's somebody else's job. Once you move up, it's got to be somebody to fill that role.
And so often there's not. I mean, last year during the George Floyd protest, there's a picture of me and a sheriff's deputy whose salary I vote on every year. Literally, like you could see the spit flying. We're in each other's faces like this, you know. And people kept being like, "That's not your place anymore. You can't be out there." You know. And I was like, "Who's going to be out there then?" And so there's a couple of things I'm saying is as we make this necessary shift from activism to some of us getting into elected politics and policy, how do we fill in the gaps when those leaders leave?
Mm.
And continue to support without needing to be an activist elected, because that's that drain, right?
Yeah.
But secondly, how do you support those activist electeds and then moving the issues from the street into some concrete change? That's where I want to work in.
I gotta wait a minute before I go there. That's not lobbying, is that? Is that a version of?
I don't think it's lobbying. It would be like a think tank.
Okay, got it.
If I had millions of dollars, I would build the Black progressive version of CPAC.
Okay, got it.
And instead of being like, we're Americans, we'd be like literally fueling the conversation and setting the agendas for the next election, for the next legislative year across the country.
Strictly for issues concerning us, kind of like what CBC is supposed to do. But anyway, so I got a close personal friend who's chief of staff at DC City Council, right? And he always told me, he said, "Hey man, none of this stuff, all this is smoke and mirrors. It's about policy. Until we learn how to write legislation and get it passed, nothing is going to change."
Absolutely.
And that's, that's a part I think that's missed on a lot of people, because we're familiar with the screaming and yelling and the marching, and the protesting, but actually sitting down, writing legislation, because those other folks, that's what they do on a daily basis. You wonder why it's a bike lane going down your street, or a dog park where kids used to play and stuff like that.
Exactly.
They know how to go and pen that and get policy and like you said, move the needle. So hopefully that will be something you can get into and then coach and train and bring up the next generation so they know how to do it.
And so that's what I want to do. And like I said, I didn't think I could get, like, I was going to have a hole in my heart if I did this another 4 years, because I was going to be still doing that smoke and mirrors. I can do all the backpack giveaways in the world, Lamont, but I don't want to have to do them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not that I don't want to. It's that when I do them, I don't feel great, because I'm like, look at why we have to do this.
Yeah.
Right? It's not because the parents don't care about the kids and they just be like, Tyrone, go get 4 book bags for you and your sisters. It's because Tyrone's mother is 4th generation disconnected, and she was getting book bags too. We've got generational cycles that we have to break, and we also got to stop blaming ourselves. And I think that's one of the biggest detriments to us progressing our work as Black people, is we're always like, well, when you act like that, and white people act just as crazy.
Oh, just as crazy.
I mean, they're shooting up movie theaters and no one's like, well, we don't deserve bike lanes because Johnny shot up Batman.
Yeah. They don't stop. You're right. You're absolutely right. Something to think about. So yeah.
There's no such thing as perfect. And when Reconstruction happened, the thoughts about the conversations that white people had about what to do with Black people was around, could we actually take care of ourselves? And we have adopted that until we can prove to this like white culture that we are full adults.
Like right. And they're gonna continue to treat us like kids. Yeah. Like we're always working to that standard.
What percentage of us have to be fully professional for you to not treat me like 3/5 of a human?
Yeah.
And you asked how I cope, like this plan to, like, once I had a plan for how I could like holistically live in this work, that helped. Because one of my biggest frustrations was feeling like I wasn't getting things done. And people would be like, oh man, I saw you in the paper, you do so much great shit. And I'd be like looking at like my resolution history, and I'm like, 5 out of 10 of my resolutions failed, and the other 5 were for like nominal things, but I'm my harshest critic also.
Yeah, of course.
But now it's like I play with Legos. That's my like weird thing.
Legos.
I like build.
What are you currently building? What are you currently building?
They have like the
okay.
Yeah, the adult ones. I built the what are those things called? Landscape?
Is that the one where it's like movie sets and they have themes and all that?
No, it's the Skylines. I do the Skylines.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
My friends, my family, travel, you know, all the usual stuff people would say. But I will be honest, like, had we done this interview a year ago, I would have looked tired. I would have felt tired.
It's funny that you say that because I invited you on via email a year ago and nothing. Nothing.
I don't even remember that email.
I know. It's
and you were so mad talking about, you gonna go on all these other shows, but you can't come on mine. And I was like, oh,
no, you invite me. Rolling. I was like, oh, you doing interviews now? Oh, this is we doing interviews? I was like,
but when you came to Memphis with Bruce, who drove to Tunica?
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up because now you can co-sign. You can co-sign because a lot of people don't believe this. I was on tour with Bruce. We went to Tunica, Mississippi, which is like outskirts of Memphis, at the casino, performing. I invited you to come. You like, yeah, we coming through. Came through with the bottles and everything, and you came in there, and I was like,
that's we were half asleep.
That's not how it works on the road. Like I'm working. You was like,
I'm banging on your door, like, what up?
You like in the movies, I was like, nah, I'm trying to remember shit to say on stage. Like that's not what happens. But yeah, but you did. You came up.
Bruce. You were like, Bruce don't drink like that.
What up? Yeah, he sleep. What you mean? That was hilarious.
Oh man!
But I do appreciate the support. Is there any way people watching right now can support your efforts and your further political endeavors? Like what's the website so I can throw it up real quick?
Oh man, my website is Hey Tami Sawyer.
Oh, easy.
.com. Okay. And the best way to keep up with me and the stuff I talk about is my Twitter at Tami Sawyer. And yeah, I talk a lot.
Yeah. No, that's what's up.
You said yeah.
Well, I appreciate I was just saying I appreciate you taking a little time out, of your other shows and all that and your appearances. I appreciate you. The funniest thing I remember before I let you go, when you was leaving DC and I was like, why? And you was like, I'm going home. And you was like, I'm gonna find me a husband. And I was like, what's wrong with the dudes in DC? He was like, they don't want women. And I was like, yeah, dang. So is anything different down there?
No.
Oh, jeez. All right.
Everybody had dates in DC. I can't. It's. I will say before I go, that is one thing. Like when we talk about like the money aspect about what activists deserve, you give up. Like I haven't had time to date the last 5 years. You know what I mean? Like I'm still answering text messages from guys I was dating when I left DC, like just because I know them. It's easier. And then also you never know, like when you meet people here, when I meet people, I mean, you're my constituent. Mm-hmm. I'm not going out with like Tyrone from District 7.
Yeah.
Like so he can post some pictures on social media. I already get social media trouble like every year. So and all I have to say to the baby, I got in trouble for like some stuff that I said on Twitter back when we were running the block in DC. The type of stuff we all used to say, like Cameron and all the rap songs, and I'm saying that stuff and like that I don't say anymore. And you just gotta apologize. And you gotta realize the world's evolving. And I know now I'm talking longer than you asked, but like
it's whatever. We ain't on no time, man.
I read his next apology today and he's like, social media is making this. No, put that at the end. The first thing you need to do is I'm sorry and I'm learning. And I think that for all of us as Black people, we were raised by some really hard people. They loved hard, but their love was like tucked in. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm Ebony Power 100 and my mama, as soon as I walk in the house, gonna find a piece of lint on my shirt. She's not like, oh, my beautiful, amazing, brilliant leader of a daughter. She's like, you couldn't iron today?
Oh, man.
I just got off the phone with Obama. Not really, but and she don't care. I'll be like,
no,
oh, mom,
you know that your shirt's wrinkled. Like they don't care. They don't care.
I was Elizabeth Warren's Tennessee surrogate. My mom was like, Biden's the only one the only one who can really win. You're not gonna vote for my candidate, like
verbally? Can I get a verbal commitment at least?
So I think, but we were raised by some really hard people who had to be that way. We are like the first generations, and I say generation because I think it's really like, what is it, X millennials and Z, like all together, who have had the freedom to have feelings, to have emotions, to evolve and understand like the differences in what we are as people, and how those differences don't have to compete. We can just all be Black people. Right. And so what we could say 10 years ago when we was singing along to Jay-Z, riding down North Capitol, is not what you can say today. And it's okay to apologize and promise to be better. You don't have to combat it. Just be better. Even
if you don't mean it.
Yeah, even if you don't mean it. I mean it. And if the baby didn't mean it, just stop fighting it.
Yeah. I agree with that. I agree with that because I saw somebody put up the two responses. So the one, if you saw it today, the one response was clearly PR, was clearly a press release. He did not pen that. He did not. The one from like when it was dated the 27th, I believe.
Yeah.
And they were so drastically different.
Yeah.
And I was like you said, you should have just led with this one and just walked off smooth. Like,
yeah. And don't blame social media for something you said.
Yeah, right.
But the ego gets away. Because when I got caught up with that stuff, I wanted to be mad at the media. I wanted to be mad at my campaign opponent who like clearly they mined my Twitter. I mean, you know how often I tweet, right?
Yeah.
Every second, like a day, every second, what is it? All the time. They went all the way back to 2009 to find tweets, and this was when I ran for mayor in 2019. And so you went back 10 years to find one or two problematic things, and to say she's no real activist. And I was mad at all those folks, but I also like saw the hurt on the face of the people who were like maligned by that, and that was more important to me, was to resolve that. I can kick Jim Strickland's ass later, but let me deal with these people, because my whole platform is about we got to be whole so we can win.
Yeah. If you're campaigning on equality and inclusion, then yeah. But if that's not what you do, I still don't. The apology, I know it has to come. I hate it had to be you, the baby, but when they come for you, you got to just do it and walk off, because that's what it is. But juxtaposed against that, Matt Damon
today. They're gonna wash that under the river.
It's not even a thing.
It's not even a thing.
It's not even a thing. He will not have to apologize, because he's telling you up front, I stopped using it a couple months ago. But it's not even a huge deal.
And he put out an apology today that's definitely just your standard press release.
Yeah.
They're definitely not. Ain't nobody gonna stop. I just watched Matt Damon and Don Cheadle.
Did you
see that?
No.
It's on HBO. What is it? Say No More. No means necessary. But it's on Showtime. It's Don Cheadle, Matt Damon. It's really good. And Matt Damon plays this like racist dude in Detroit, and I was like, man, he's playing this so well.
Yeah, right. You're right. No, I'm a fan of Matt Damon though. But I think even how this was even a story, I'm like, you got to fire your team, because you got a movie out, Stillwater, and I'm thinking you were using this story to spike. This ain't the time. Like, pick another. Yeah, he could have told another personal story to have his viral moment, other than this, which we're currently talking about. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, that's a big controversy. You can't be like, I don't know, but he's not.
He made himself news.
Yeah. Right.
And then the people the baby even has supporting him, like, do we really need you to be endorsed by T.I. right now?
And Chris Brown. Yeah. We don't need that. Stand your ground, yes. Say, that ain't what I meant. Y'all took me out of content, sure. Or even, I was joking, like Matt Damon said. Try that. But like really, the combative, you're not, as much as I like that, because I feel like I'm the same way, you're not going to win. You're not. Once they start taking money out your pocket, it's going to get real, which it has. He got removed from 4 music festivals, and then the apology came.
Yep.
So.
And they're not going to bring him back.
No. No, he might be the first actual cancellation.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about that. Cat Williams said
cancellation.
nobody's really canceled. He might be the first actual say no more, fam. Like, sit down in the corner. So, yeah. Either way.
All right.
There it is, y'all. Tami Sawyer at Tami Sawyer and HeyTamiSawyer.com. You'll be back.
Yes.
I
now that you've invited me officially.
Yes.
Anytime.
Thank you. All right, I appreciate
All
the time.
Take care.
All right. There it is, y'all. Tami Sawyer. The homie. Doing some amazing things down there in Memphis. Check out the website. Hey, Mr. Clarkson. Reveal yourself. I had some stories, but we pushing time. We had a great conversation right there. So I might save those stories for Wednesday. But if we can get a check-in from Mr. Clarkson for the last time. Mr. Clarkson, y'all got some news. Mr. Clarkson is leaving he's leaving the show. Mr. Clarkson is leaving the show. So I wanted to get him on for the farewell. Phone or otherwise, it don't matter. We'll make it quick. This is our I didn't plan this. It just happened. But we're gonna be parting ways with Mr. Clark. Let me put the thing in. Maybe I'll just put the thing in the chat. There's some interesting stories today too. Oh, here we go. He's on the phone. This will be Mr. Clarkson's last show. Mr. Clarkson, what's good with you?
Hey, what's going on, bro? What's going on with you?
Oh man, ain't too much. Hey, look here, man. It's been a pleasure and a wonder. Your contributions to the show are endless, immense, innumerable, unquantitative. Just can't even measure your input as Mr. Clarkson. And so after today, Mr. Clarkson is no more.
Yeah.
And we would like to introduce to you Chief Emeritus, Doctor of Philosophy in Education. I don't even know the titles, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Clarkson
What up?
is now joining the show.
Hey, man.
Congratulations.
I saw the job description for executive producer. I said, I think I can do that job. So, yeah.
Yeah. Now you're qualified. Now
I'm qualified.
Now you're qualified. All right, tell us about the experience, man. The chat. I see it was public. I couldn't make it in there, but I see the video. You put the link out and it was public and talking with your hands and had quite the audience. What was that experience like? Virtual thesis challenging.
Man, I'll say this much. It is very different. You realize who in the room is for you, and who in the room ain't for you. You also, the other big thing too is that I really pushed against the status quo, which was that, and I said this in my defense, that the problem with academia is that it's not written for the people. That's really what it boiled down to, is that I said that in my dissertation, that all these really great research documents that come out, but your average person can't read them because they're full of, triple letter word score vocabulary words. And who cares? Who cares if I can read it? Because, my dissertation, of course, was on if single sex education would be a potential solution to close achievement gaps in urban school settings. And I wrote it in, and I want to say the least amount of academic language that I could write it in. I wrote it purposely for the people. I went out of my way to write basically something that'd be equivalent to like a 7th grade level. And I got a lot of pushback for it.
Because they wanted you, you're in academia and you're breaking ground on the PhD level. They wanted you to have the heady content, the wordy Eric Dyson type of situation, and you went against that.
Yeah, like I really wasn't interested in using all the words that T.I. tries to put into an interview,
Right.
Like that does parents and that who don't have education any good. And that's what I was saying in my defense, is that, my wrote my dissertation to really help parents make some really tough decisions where someone won't talk to them about it, but they can read it on their own. So it was well received among 2 out of my 3 committee members. My other committee member, she wasn't really feeling it, but I haven't been feeling her the entire the entire process, because she kept on pushing back, saying, I just wish this was written in more academic language. And it's like, well, that's the problem. Too much stuff is written like that, and then it goes into ProQuest or goes into like this, abyss of super academic, documents. But who cares? Like I want to write something where, like I said before, anyone could read it and go, man, I think my child should be in an all boys school. Or, man, I think my child
because
should
that's a published work now, right? Available to anyone.
Right.
Oh,
it's
got
a published work that's going to become available to anyone. And she was saying that what I realized what it is that she doesn't like the idea of a work written in simplest terms being attached to her name.
Oh, okay. There it is. Okay.
And in my mind, I'm going, I don't really want you attached to my work no way, because you don't really understand what this is all about.
Right. You should have really been a trailblazer and did it in shorthand, in text shorthand, the way people communicate via phone. BRB and all of that. Yeah.
Honestly, that would be a great revision challenge, to write it, write it another grade level down.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of, like, I really just want people to understand what is going on. There are a lot of peculiar things that are happening in education. And I say this all the time, that there's too many families that are driving past schools that are in their own neighborhoods to go to another school. And basically it's the case of the good McDonald's versus the bad McDonald's. And I say this all the time. Growing up, we know the good McDonald's is further away, but the ice cream machine always worked and our fries are always hot. The bad McDonald's, the ice cream machine never worked, fries are always cold. Why are you driving past one school to get to another school if you're getting the same product, which is education? That's a problem. That's a huge problem.
All right, so Dr. Clarkson is joining us, our new executive producer. What next on the dissertation tour? Like, is there anything planned? Is there a new wardrobe? Is there a new? You got a new walk, a new hat? Like, how are you entering this school year?
Nothing's changing. My main thing is that I've said before. People that I love and care about dearly, of course. They can jokingly call me Dr. Clarkson, but there are people who I will only answer to by Dr. Clarkson because I don't like them.
Yeah. Yes.
I just straight up don't like them. But overall, I've got a couple of lectures in Philly, in New York, and back at UCLA scheduled again, which is, going to be really crucial. But, I told you about there's 2 major goals I'd like to get achieved in the next 5 years, which is, one, to really go after looking at what is building a school look like, not on no Dr. Umar stuff, but for real. And then 2, working on this documentary that has kind of been in the front of my mind for a good little minute.
Okay, there it is, y'all. And the school will be called the No Big Words Academy. That'll be
there will never be a spelling bee at my school.
Yes. Oh, geez. Well, congrats once again, man. I know it was,
Thank you, brother.
Well deserved, long earned. Take a couple days off, man. Just take your brain off for a couple days. You know what I'm saying? Don't even think about nothing.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah,
no doubt. Brown liquor.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. Salute and celebrate. It's funny he brought up McDonald's. That'll be a great segue into my last story for the evening. Let me go ahead and put this one here just in case. I saw this today. I don't know if y'all saw this. I didn't even get a chance to read it. I was just like, yeah, we'll talk about this on the show. Did y'all see this? Gross. It's my last story. We go out of here. On the way out, make sure you hit the thumbs up, turn the notifications on for the channel. I appreciate everybody for joining the show. We started a little bit late. And also to our guest, Tami Sawyer. All right, last story. I just like the headline. It's a McDonald's story, courtesy of Dr. Clarkson. McDonald's workers shows what they do when customers ask for fresh fries. Do I really want to see this? Because I am that person. They gotta be fresh fries. And I tell them, I'll wait. So this is from the Daily Dot, published today. In a viral TikTok video, a McDonald's worker reveals how they deal with customers asking for fresh fries. The latest in a series of fast food workers' videos on what happens behind the scenes of cheap eats. The video sparked controversy on the minimum wage and sanitary practices in the comments. When customers complain and ask for fresh fries, the on-screen text reads in the video. The TikTok shared July 23rd and is nearing 1 million views, shows an employee dumping cold fries from a bag into the deep frying basket and lowering it into the oil. Okay, I kind of expected that. After reheating the fries, the workers placed them back in the French fry box. This method of reheating had TikTok's users in distress. I'm actually not that surprised at that. Let's watch it anyway.
When customers complain and ask for fresh fries.
You know what? I'm actually not that mad at that. I think the people responding to that are super young. Because if you grew up on the carryout, that's what they do with your chicken. And if you went to a breakfast diner, that's what they do with your bacon all day long. I seen it done. One user said, "This is why I got trust issues." The TikToker, however, insinuated that McDonald's employees don't actually stick cold fries back in the deep fryer. All jokes, love, blah, blah, blah. How many? However, many users utilize the video as an argument against $15 wage. Ridiculous. That's why restaurant workers won't make $15 an hour. That doesn't even make sense. Why can't you just do your job? Don't want to provide good customer service. Take the cleaner's job. Okay. And the article gets dumb. Let me go back to it.
When customers complain and...
But yeah, so no, I remember when I first learned about, there was a diner we used to go to after heavy drinking. This is like 15 years ago in the city. It was right in College Park, Maryland. And we used to sit there at, the middle of the night. So it was one of those places that was 24 hours, but they closed between 4 and 5. So they weren't really 24 hours. They were just open all night. And so I remember on a couple occasions being in there during the switchover. And so what they would do from 4 to 5, and they do a little bit of cleaning. And then it was revealed one night, I realized how they do bacon. It was a diner. So, breakfast food and burgers with bacon all day. You go to a place, you go to one of them diners, and it's fast. You get the pancakes, the eggs, whatever. And then, hey, bacon or a burger. Hey, bacon. Bacon's already done. They do the bacon at once. So I seen it with my own eyes. It was like 4:30 in the morning. We in that joint, washed. They closed the door. Somebody started mopping. They start resetting the plates, putting the plates back up in the joint. And then little Mexican dude come out there and 3,700 slices of bacon. And just like the whole, you know what I'm saying? Flipping them and then putting them in a little the metal bin off to the side. And when I tell you, and this was back when we used to go out and really do it. Man, that bacon sat there all day. How do I know? Because I came back later that day to eat again to the diner, and it was the same bacon. And I was like, "Oh, y'all be doing batches of bacon. It ain't no MTO bacon. No such thing at a place. Carryout, seen the same thing. I go to carryout. We ordered like 30. It was bulk wings. So it was for, a little party, 30 wings, right? And I happened to go in early before he was, getting with it. And I seen him whole batch of chicken out and he just dropping them back in the joint. And I was like, what, blah, 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 blah. And I asked somebody who was in the restaurant business later. I was like, I seen the dude at the place and he was like, yeah, that's what they do. That's how they reheat your food. So I'm not actually mad at seeing this story about the McDonald's. I'm not mad. Not surprised. So after a certain point, even though I still love a good McDonald's fry, a good small fry, at a certain point you got to wean yourself off anyway. So if you can't take a re-oiled McDonald's fry, then you need to be eating something else anyway. So there's that. All right, I just wanted to leave on that story. I thought that was funny. The bacon is a true story. All right. I asked for fries, no salt. Impossible. Have you seen him do that? You know. Here's another secret. It's an industry insider. Did you know the little, the mix? You know that's salt and sugar? Did you know that? Bet you didn't know that. All right. Twice fried fries, twice baked potato. Yeah, pretty much. Don't say fresh fries. Ask for no salt. Oh, I see what y'all saying. Because they put salt on all of them, they got to get you a new batch in order to get you ones with no salt. Okay, all right, brilliant. I didn't even peep that when you said it at first. That makes sense. All right. Fresh bacon equals same bacon. All right, that's it, folks. The money wheel is on the low. It's real young, looking real slim. So if you go to, if you're not familiar with the show, we do a 50-50 raffle on Fridays. Must be present to win. Send us money. Let's Go Live Show. Cash App. We give away the money live on air. Say how many slots you want. $5 a slot. Put you on the wheel. You in the game. Beyond that, follow me at all social media. Mr. Lamont King. Subscribe to the channel so you get the notifications, clips, behind the scenes, and otherwise. And follow us on Instagram, LGL_all fun and games. And if you want to leave a message, man, do that. And if it's interesting, we might play it on the air. 765-LETS-GO-1, 24 hours a day. The phone lines are open. You pay for them. You might as well use them. All right, y'all. Till Wednesday, 8 p.m. I'll see y'all. Thanks to our guests. Thanks to our callers. And thanks to you.
I don't care if it is a closet. You still looking mad official.